Sir Lawrence Freedman, Emeritus Professor of War Studies at King's College London and author of The Future of War, joins me now. A very good morning to you. I'd just like to ask about your views on how that conversation unfolded. Did you think that it was a spontaneous eruption, or did you think that it was a strategically planned ambush by the US administration?
Very hard to tell, even watching it again. I think Vice President Vance was sort of baiting Zelenskyy. And the problem that Zelenskyy faced is when you're being told about a situation in your country which you believe not to be true, do you bite your tongue and say nothing, which would have been also considered disrespectful, or do you argue back, which is what he did? To me, that this was a sad and shameful episode where the head of state of a country that's been fighting for 3 years was being told off for being disrespectful when he never really got a chance to show respect. So I think I don't think Trump intended it to end that way. I think what happened was when they went out, they decided to show Zelenskyy the door, and that was the unfortunate thing. It possibly was still recoverable even after that the shouting match, but once Zelenskyy was shown the door, then it becomes much harder to retrieve it. Though I'm not saying it's possible.
I mean, but President Zelenskyy is going to have to get this back on track, isn't it? How do you think he best goes about that? He's just put out a post on X thanking the US and Trump for all their support, but he's probably going to have to do more than that, isn't he?
Maybe. I mean, he went on Fox News as well. I think it's going to be difficult for him to sort of grovel much more. I think because it's not clear what he was getting out of a lot of this. So he needs to put things on track if he can. Trump believes the mineral deal that was supposed to be signed was a good deal for the United States. He says so. Trump only believes he signs good deals. So Trump will want that. Trump wants to be a peacemaker. Therefore, he needs Zelenskyy as well. So I don't think Zelenskyy has no cards at all. Starmer, we know, spoke to both Trump and Zelenskyy last night. And Trump didn't quite close the door on resuming talks. So it wouldn't surprise me if the other thing just to remember, a week ago, we were in exactly the same position. Trump had said some pretty awful things about Zelenskyy on his social media post, including him being a dictator and so on. So this has been a pretty roller coaster ride anyway, and so.
And you say there that President Trump wants it to be part of his legacy that he's a peacemaker. Is there a chance that perhaps he just focuses his efforts on what's happening in the Middle East and says, you know what, to Ukraine, you're on your own. You weren't grateful enough. You didn't sign the deal.
Yeah, he could do that. And I think the most dangerous thing he could do would be to start withdrawing support from Ukraine. And I think that's probably the biggest worry. I don't think one should exaggerate the ease with which a ceasefire could be agreed, even if everybody was talking happily to each other. It's what Putin wants is more than what I think Trump can deliver. So that is a possibility. I don't think that's how it will end up, but what's happened won't be forgotten. These are images that will live in the memory for a long time. And of course, the Russians were ecstatic about what happened last night. They were very pleased to see, as far as they're concerned, Trump putting Zelenskyy in his place.
President Trump talked a lot about President Putin in that meeting there. Did you learn anything new or surprising about what you gleaned to be the relationship between the two men?
I think it reinforces what we've heard before. Trump believes he's got a good relationship with Putin. In his first term, he believes that he was unfairly portrayed as a puppet of Putin, and that this was a hindrance, and that all this has been shown to be false. So then all of this has been said before. I think the question is, the problem that he's got now, and I think it is a problem for Trump, is whether or not he is so effusive about Putin and how well he can work with him that he forgets that he's the invader, that he's occupying illegally a lot of Ukrainian land, and that if he wants to actually get a deal, he's got to persuade Putin to give some concessions. And I think just talking about Putin as if he's somebody who deserves respect and with whom he can work is not enough for Putin. Wants him to deliver a lot more from Zelenskyy, and I'm not sure he can.
Professor Freedman, we've got some breaking news, which is very pertinent to our conversation, coming to us from a spokesperson for Number 10, that the Prime Minister and President Zelenskyy will be meeting today, this afternoon, more precisely, in Downing Street, ahead of that planned meeting with European leaders tomorrow. Prime Minister Starmer is in a delicate position here, isn't he? And the stakes of this meeting tomorrow couldn't be higher. What do you think he needs to be saying to President Zelenskyy this afternoon?
Well, he'll be giving him support and trying to give him some reassurance. I think Starmer's priority, and he's actually not a bad position to do this, as good as anybody else at the moment, is to try to mend fences a bit. I mean, there's limits to how far this can be done, so that the conversations with the Americans get back on track. If they can't, and even if they can a bit, it's clear Europe's going to have to do more. And he spoke, Starmer, earlier in the week about this sort of being a generational moment, and that led to 0.2% extra on defence. I think this is a bigger moment, and I think the challenge for Starmer, both in his conversation this afternoon with Zelenskyy and then with many other European leaders tomorrow, is to appreciate just the significance of this moment. Whatever happens in the particular talks, the US is not as big a factor in European security as it has been really since 1940, 41. If we're going to appreciate the significance of that moment, that's going to require a lot of difficulty and a lot of sacrifice from not just the UK, but other European countries. That's the challenge. Even if you can get discussions going on how to end the war.
Professor Lawrence Freedman, great to get your analysis on Sky News. Thank you.